The Galactic Tribunal stood as a testament to the unity of countless star systems, a structure carved from the very essence of a neutron star. Its crystalline walls refracted the light of dying suns, bathing the chamber in an ever-shifting aurora of colors. Rows upon rows of delegates filled the amphitheater like tiers, their forms as varied as the galaxies they hailed from, some gelatinous and translucent, others towering and insected, and still others resembling moving sculptures of liquid metal. Each species brought its unique temperament to the assembly, but all shared a commitment to maintaining galactic order. In the center of the chamber, a pulsing holographic orb displayed a galaxy-wide threat, an invasive force sweeping through star systems with devastating efficiency. The tribunal buzzed with hushed murmurs, clicks, and telepathic exchanges as the crisis unfolded before them. Amid the controlled chaos, one term kept surfacing, whispered in tones of reverence and unease: Deathworlders. Deathworlders were species evolved on planets so hostile that survival itself was a daily war. Planets where gravity crushed the weak, predators hunted relentlessly, and nature unleashed calamities without warning. Few Deathworlders had ever ascended to the galactic stage, and those who had were legends. Among them, humanity stood apart, not just for their resilience but for the calculated brutality they could wield when provoked. Tales of human tenacity, their triumphs over insurmountable odds, had spread like wildfire across the stars. Yet, their unpredictability made them a source of unease. Allies called them protectors, skeptics whispered another term: destroyers. The debate over involving humanity reached a crescendo as the tribunal grappled with the escalating crisis. The invaders were not just conquering, they were annihilating. Entire ecosystems were being reduced to barren wastelands. Conventional defenses were failing. Desperate for options, some voices argued for the necessity of unleashing the Deathworlders. Others shuddered at the thought. Suddenly, the massive crystalline doors of the chamber slid open, their motion accompanied by a resonating hum. A silence fell over the delegates as the human representatives entered. They did not rush, nor did they need to. Every step echoed, deliberate and precise, as three figures strode into the room. The lead figure, tall and broad-shouldered, moved with a confidence that bordered on audacity. Behind them, two others walked with the poised grace of apex predators surveying their surroundings. Whispers spread like wildfire among the delegates. "They look so fragile," one voice muttered telepathically. Another countered. "Fragile? Those bones can withstand gravity 3 times this chamber's level. Their musculature is a weapon in itself." Their appearance was striking, not because of ornamentation but because of its simplicity. Where other species adorned themselves with flowing robes or intricate bioluminescent patterns, the humans wore plain, functional attire. Yet, in their stride, there was an undeniable aura of authority, as if they carried the weight of 1,000 battles etched into their very being. The lead delegate paused before the council's central dais. "Apologies for our tardiness." Their voice rang out, steady and resonant, cutting through the tense air. "We were ensuring our preparations were adequate to discuss the matter at hand." The room remained silent, but the tension was palpable. The humans scanned the room, their gaze lingering just long enough on each species to evoke a mix of curiosity and discomfort. Their expressions betrayed no emotion, but their presence spoke volumes. They were not here to debate, they were here to decide. From the back of the chamber, a serpentine delegate coiled forward, its scales shimmering. "Humans," it hissed, "your reputation precedes you. But tell us, what makes you believe you can succeed where we have failed? This foe is beyond any conventional strategy." The lead human allowed a small, almost imperceptible smile. "Conventional strategies," they began, "are what led to failure. Humanity has never survived by being conventional. When our survival was threatened, be it by our own kind, by nature, or by forces we couldn't comprehend, we adapted. We evolved. We overcame." A chittering voice interrupted, its tone skeptical. "And in doing so, didn't you also destroy entire ecosystems on your homeworld eradicated in your pursuit of dominance?" "Yes," the human admitted without hesitation. "And that is why we understand this enemy better than most. They destroy to conquer. We've done the same." But unlike them, we learned. We built from the ashes. We turned destruction into progress. That is the difference. Another delegate, crystalline and luminous, spoke telepathically, their tone measured. And if we let you intervene? What guarantee do we have that you won't leave a greater ruin in your wake? The humans stepped closer, their gaze unwavering. We don't offer guarantees. What we offer is the best chance you have. We've faced extinction more times than you can imagine. Each time, we didn't just survive, we thrived. This isn't a fight we seek, but it's one we'll finish. The murmurs grew louder, some skeptical, others in awe. The lead human surveyed the room one final time. You call us Deathworlders, war gods. Those titles mean nothing to us. We are simply humans. And when we fight to win. With that, they turned, signaling the end of their statement. The room remained silent as the humans took their seats, their presence a stark reminder of why Deathworlders were both feared and revered. In their calm confidence lay a quiet promise, and a warning. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices as soon as the humans concluded their entrance. Their confident demeanor had unsettled many, and now the galaxy's most influential species were deep in debate. Words clashed with telepathic transmissions, and flashes of light from bioluminescent species punctuated the intensity of the discussion. They are too aggressive, a crystalline delegate stated, its voice resonating like 1,000 wind chimes. Their history is littered with wars, destruction, and self-inflicted disasters. How can we trust them with something this delicate? A hulking, reptilian being growled in response. And yet they have survived. No other species could thrive on a planet like theirs, torn apart by geological upheaval, teeming with predators, battered by solar radiation. If any can face this invader, it is them. Another voice joined, sharp and analytical, from an avian species with feathers shimmering in waves of color. Their survival is not the question. It is their methods. Have you forgotten what they did in the Arexan conflict? Their ingenuity left 3 systems uninhabitable for millennia. That ingenuity, a deep, rumbling voice interjected, was what saved 100 others. They think differently, act decisively, and adapt faster than anyone here. If this invasion is to be stopped, we cannot afford to ignore their potential. The debate grew louder, each side reinforcing their arguments with examples from humanity's turbulent history. Some highlighted their catastrophic wars, like the infamous conflicts on Earth that nearly wiped out their own species. Others countered with stories of their ability to rebuild stronger than before. There were tales of humans outsmarting nature itself, stabilizing tectonic plates, repelling asteroid impacts, and eradicating once devastating pandemics. Every example was a paradox: destruction followed by resilience, devastation balanced by ingenuity. The lead human remained silent throughout the debate, arms crossed, their expression impassive. When the voices finally subsided, they stepped forward again, commanding attention without uttering a word. The chamber fell silent, the weight of their presence palpable. When you speak of humanity, the representative began, their voice steady and measured, you speak of contradictions because that is what we are. We were born on a world that tried to kill us at every turn. Our atmosphere itself can burn, our waters can drown, and our land can swallow us whole. From the moment we drew breath, we have faced extinction. The room seemed to shrink as the delegate's voice filled the space. We did not become survivors by being the strongest or the fastest. We became survivors by being the most relentless. When predators hunted us, we studied them, outwitted them, and became predators ourselves. When disease struck, we fought it not with strength but with knowledge. We've bent fire, metal, and even the atom to our will. They paused, letting the words sink in before continuing. The threat you face is terrifying, I'll grant you that. But terrifying is what we know best. Your enemies overwhelm with numbers, with raw force. Humanity thrives in asymmetry. We don't fight wars, we end them. Efficiently. Permanently. A soft murmur rippled through the chamber as the human's words began to take hold. The representative continued, their tone growing colder. Make no mistake, we do not relish war. We have seen what it does. We carry the scars of 1,000 conflicts, and we bear them as a reminder of what we hope never to repeat. But when the time comes, when we are pushed to the brink, we do not hesitate. We do not falter. The air in the chamber seemed heavier now. You call us aggressive, destructive, dangerous. And you're right. We are all those things. But we are also builders, healers, and dreamers. We know what it means to lose everything. And that's why we will not let that happen here. Not to you. Not to anyone. Silence followed, stretching long enough for doubt to creep back into some of the delegates. A crystalline delegate finally broke it with a sharp, dismissive tone. Words. Impressive, but hollow. You paint yourselves as saviors, but you could just as easily become our undoing. Without missing a beat, the human delegate tilted their heads slightly, their lips curving into a faint, almost predatory smile. Then don't trust our words. Trust our results. Or, if you prefer, trust your fear. Because if we fail, there won't be anyone left to question whether you made the right choice. The subtle challenge in their words sent a ripple through the assembly. Some delegates exchanged uneasy glances, their bioluminescent patterns flickering in agitation. Others, particularly those with practical mindsets, seemed to regard the humans with newfound respect. The humans had just demonstrated exactly what made them so unnerving, the unshakable conviction that they would do whatever it took, and the terrifying competence to make it happen. As the debate simmered down, the room's collective unease lingered. Even those who doubted humanity's intentions could not dismiss their undeniable capability. A species that had turned adversity into an art form, whose very existence defied logic, now stood before them offering salvation, and a silent warning of what they could become if denied. The invasion began like a silent storm, sweeping through the galaxy with unrelenting precision. The enemy was a swarm of biomechanical monstrosities, each unit a horrifying blend of organic resilience and technological superiority. They moved with eerie coordination, as if guided by a singular, malevolent intelligence. Star systems fell in rapid succession, their defenses overwhelmed before distress signals could even escape. Planets were stripped of life, their surfaces left barren and scarred. The Galactic Coalition, unprepared for such an efficient enemy, scrambled to mount a defense. Fleets of warships from dozens of species converged on the first choke point, a densely populated system critical to galactic trade. Despite their combined firepower, the coalition forces struggled. Their strategies were disjointed, their species unable to fully integrate their technologies or tactics. Each fleet fought as if the battle belonged to them alone, and the invaders exploited this weakness mercilessly. The coalition's initial stand crumbled into chaos, their ships reduced to debris that scattered across the void. Despair rippled through the galaxy. For centuries, they had relied on diplomacy and mutual understanding to maintain peace. Now, they faced an enemy immune to negotiation, a force that cared nothing for treaties or compromises. It was in this darkest hour that humanity entered the fray. The humans arrived without fanfare, a fleet of sleek, angular ships descending on the contested system like predators stalking prey. Their designs were unlike anything the coalition had ever seen, compact yet bristling with unconventional weaponry. The human flagship transmitted no elaborate pre-battle speech, only a brief, chilling declaration, asterisk. Leave this system to us. Observe and learn. Asterisk. Humanity's counteroffensive began not with brute force but with strategy. Their first move was to sow chaos within the invaders' ranks. Small, agile craft darted through the enemy formations, deploying EMP bursts and decoys that disrupted their synchronization. The once perfect unity of the swarm faltered, its movements becoming fragmented. Meanwhile, human engineers worked feverishly to analyze captured fragments of enemy technology, uncovering vulnerabilities that had eluded the coalition's brightest minds. On the ground, humanity's approach was even more audacious. Where the coalition had deployed vast armies and static defense lines, the humans relied on guerrilla warfare. Strike teams, outfitted in adaptive exosuits, struck at critical supply nodes and communication hubs, vanishing into the shadows before retaliation could arrive. They used the terrain to their advantage, turning forests into ambush zones and mountain ranges into fortified strongholds. In one particularly daring operation, a human team infiltrated a massive enemy dreadnought, overloading its core and sending it hurtling into its own fleet in a catastrophic explosion. The coalition watched in awe as humanity dismantled the seemingly invincible force piece by piece. Their tactics were unpredictable, their methods unorthodox. Psychological warfare became a key component of their strategy. The humans broadcast cryptic, taunting messages into enemy frequencies, sowing confusion and fear. In one instance, an entire battalion of enemy ground forces surrendered without a fight, unnerved by the sudden appearance of human holographic projections that made them believe they were surrounded. The tide of the war began to shift, but the battle was far from over. At the height of the conflict, the enemy launched a full-scale assault on a heavily populated colony world. The coalition's forces, still reeling from their earlier losses, declared the system indefensible. Evacuation efforts had barely begun when the human fleet arrived. The battle that followed became the stuff of legend. Facing overwhelming odds, the humans devised a daring plan. They deployed orbital mines disguised as debris, luring the enemy fleet into a deadly trap. As the invaders closed in, the mines detonated in a coordinated chain reaction, creating a shockwave that crippled half the enemy fleet. The remaining ships were met with a ferocious counterattack, human warships weaving through the chaos with unmatched precision. On the surface, the battle was equally brutal. Human soldiers led the charge, fighting alongside desperate coalition allies who had stayed behind to defend their homes. The invaders, relentless and unyielding, pressed forward with overwhelming numbers. Yet the humans held their ground. They fought not just with weapons but with an indomitable spirit that inspired those around them. Coalition soldiers who had been paralyzed by fear found themselves rallying under the humans' leadership, their resolve strengthened by the sight of humanity refusing to yield. In the midst of the battle, a pivotal moment unfolded. A critical stronghold, housing thousands of civilians, was about to be overrun. Coalition commanders had deemed it a lost cause, but the humans refused to retreat. A single squad of human soldiers, heavily outnumbered, held the line long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Their leader, a towering figure clad in a battle-worn exosuit, faced down an advancing enemy mech, armed only with a plasma blade. The fight was short and brutal, ending with the humans standing victorious over the smoking remains of the mech. As the battle reached its climax, humanity unveiled their final weapon, a prototype device capable of disrupting the enemy's hive-mind coordination. Activating it required venturing deep into enemy territory, a mission deemed suicidal by the coalition. Yet, the humans volunteered without hesitation. A small strike team infiltrated the heart of the enemy fleet, planting the device and holding their ground until it detonated. The resulting disruption sent the invaders into disarray, their once unified movements collapsing into chaos. The battle ended in a decisive victory, the first of its kind against the invaders. The coalition's forces, emboldened by humanity's example, joined the counteroffensive with renewed vigor. Together, they began to reclaim lost systems, pushing back the enemy inch by hard-fought inch. But it was humanity that had turned the tide, their resilience and ingenuity carving a path to survival where none had existed before. The galaxy would never forget the day the humans unleashed their full potential, a force as relentless as the enemy they fought, yet tempered by the hope of a better future. The galaxy exhaled a collective sigh of relief as the invading force retreated, scattered and broken. On countless worlds, the echoes of war gave way to celebrations. Species of all kinds gathered in public squares, under alien skies, and in orbit around restored stations, commemorating the impossible victory. Statues were erected, songs composed, and entire systems lit up their atmospheres with dazzling displays of light. The name on everyone's lips was the same: humanity. The Galactic Council convened in a rare moment of unity to formally recognize the victors. Delegates who had once regarded humanity with suspicion now spoke with admiration and gratitude. "You are saviors," one crystalline being declared, its voice resonating across the chamber. Another added, "You have shown us what we could never have seen on our own, That survival requires both strength and the will to wield it without hesitation. Even the most stoic species couldn't hide their awe. Humanity's adaptability, ingenuity, and sheer determination had transformed the tide of battle. Delegates who had once whispered the term, Deathworlders, as a warning now spoke it with reverence, as if it were a title of divine significance. Yet, amidst the accolades, the humans themselves remained reserved. Their lead representative, the same figure who had entered the council chamber with such calm confidence, stepped forward once again. "You honor us with your words," they began, their tone humble yet resolute. "But let me be clear, we did not win this war alone. Every battle fought, every victory claimed, was a collective effort. Your people fought alongside ours, your strategies informed our actions, and your resources sustained the fight." The room fell silent, the delegates hanging on every word. "We are not gods, nor do we wish to be seen as such. We are survivors, nothing more, nothing less. We've spent our existence learning to adapt to the challenges of a chaotic universe. What you witnessed wasn't divine intervention, it was the culmination of generations of struggle, failure, and growth." There was a pause, as the human glanced across the room, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. "War is not our nature. It is a response, a tool we wield reluctantly, when every other option has failed. Peace is our goal, always. And if our actions have taught you anything, let it be this: the strongest force in the universe isn't destruction. It's the will to rebuild." The humans' words were met with a mix of astonishment and reflection. Their modesty seemed to disarm even the most skeptical voices. Delegates who had been vocal critics of humanity before the war now found themselves re-evaluating their positions. One avian representative, whose earlier protests against involving humans had been particularly loud, stood to speak. "I was wrong," they admitted, their feathers shifting to a humbled hue. "I feared your methods, your potential for destruction. But now I see that your strength lies not in violence but in restraint. In the ability to wield such power without succumbing to it." Another voice followed, this one from a serpentine species known for their pragmatism. "You have shown us not just how to win but why we must fight, to protect, to preserve, to ensure that what we value endures. For that, we owe you more than words." As the Council deliberated on humanity's future role in the galactic community, a resolution began to take shape. The proposal was simple yet monumental. Humanity would be integrated into the highest tiers of galactic defense and diplomacy. Their insights, strategies, and unyielding will would serve as a cornerstone for a new era of unity. The decision passed unanimously, a rarity in the Council's fractious history. As the announcement was made, the chamber erupted in applause, an almost unthinkable display of emotion for such a somber assembly. Yet, amidst the celebration, the humans remained characteristically grounded. They exchanged glances, acknowledging the honor but mindful of the responsibilities it entailed. After the session, delegates approached the human representatives, seeking advice, expressing gratitude, and offering partnerships. Humanity, once viewed as an unpredictable and dangerous outlier, was now the keystone of a stronger, more united galaxy. As the celebrations faded and the galaxy began to rebuild, humanity's actions continued to resonate. Their willingness to sacrifice, their refusal to let fear dictate their choices, and their insistence on collaboration over domination redefined how the galactic community viewed them. They were no longer seen as mere Deathworlders or warriors. They were survivors, teachers, and allies, a testament to the power of resilience and the hope that even in the face of annihilation, something stronger could emerge. As the Galactic Council prepared to adjourn its historic session, a palpable sense of optimism filled the chamber. The united effort against the invasion had fostered new bonds among species that had once been divided by distrust and misunderstanding. Yet, humanity's representatives stood once more, their expression serious, the weight of their words casting a somber shadow over the celebratory atmosphere. "We have achieved something remarkable together," the delegate began, their voice carrying the gravity of what was to come. "But let us not mistake victory for security. What we faced was only one of countless threats lurking in the void. The galaxy is vast, and its dangers are many. If we allow complacency to take root, we will invite another disaster. The room grew quiet, the festivity giving way to a reflective stillness. You have seen what humanity can do, the delegate continued. How we can fight, adapt, and survive when pushed to the brink. But understand this, what you saw in this war is only a fraction of what we are capable of. For better or worse. They paused, their gaze sweeping across the assembly. We come from a world forged in chaos, a crucible of conflict and catastrophe. Our history is one of war and peace, of destruction and creation. We've annihilated entire civilizations, our own, and rebuilt them from the ashes. We've created weapons capable of extinguishing life on a planetary scale and technologies that heal and sustain it. We've made choices, for better and for worse, that have shaped who we are today. The delegate leaned forward, their tone turning colder. You call us Deathworlders, and you are right to fear the connotations of that name. We have the capacity to destroy, not just our enemies but ourselves and everything around us. But understand this, the same fire that can burn a forest to the ground can also forge steel. The same force that can tear down can build up. It is not the fire itself but how it is wielded that defines its purpose. A soft murmur spread through the chamber as the delegates processed the stark reminder of humanity's duality. The human's voice softened, yet retained its conviction. This is not a warning born of arrogance, but of necessity. The galaxy must remain vigilant, united, and prepared. There will come a time when humanity may not be here to intervene, when we may face challenges too great even for us. If you take one lesson from this conflict, let it be this: survival is not the work of one species alone. It is a collective endeavor. The delegates' words hung in the air, heavy with implication. But before the weight of their message could settle into despair, they continued, their tone shifting to one of hope. What we have seen in this crisis is the potential for something greater. In the face of annihilation, we came together, not just as individuals or species, but as a galaxy. That unity, that shared purpose, is the key to our future. They gestured toward the gathered representatives. Look around you. Alliances have been forged where none existed before. Technologies once hoarded in secrecy have been shared for the common good. Trust, once shattered by centuries of division, has begun to take root again. This is what we must build on. This is how we ensure that our shared future is one of progress, not despair. The council murmured in agreement, the delegates nodding as the humans' words resonated. Across the galaxy, the ripple effects of humanity's intervention were already being felt. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion were now collaborating on reconstruction efforts. Engineers and scientists from a dozen worlds worked side by side, adapting humanity's unorthodox methods to develop new technologies. Diplomats who had once traded barbs now shared strategies for lasting peace. For all its scars, the galaxy seemed brighter than it had in generations. The human representative concluded with a final reflection. Humanity is not perfect. We carry with us the weight of our mistakes and the lessons of our past. But we choose, every day, to strive for something better. To create, rather than destroy. To build bridges, even when it would be easier to burn them. This is the path we offer you, not as leaders or saviors, but as equals. Together, we can ensure that the horrors of this war are never repeated. A profound silence filled the chamber, the delegates absorbing the full impact of the humans' message. Then, one by one, they began to stand. It started with the reptilian diplomat who had earlier vouched for humanity's inclusion in the war effort. Soon, the crystalline delegate followed, their shimmering form casting refracted light across the room. Within moments, every representative in the chamber was standing, a unified gesture of respect and commitment. As the council session adjourned, the delegates departed with a renewed sense of purpose. Across the galaxy, the seeds of a new era were being planted, one defined not by fear or division, but by collaboration and resilience. And at the heart of it all stood humanity, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as survivors who had learned to thrive and who now offered their fire not as a weapon, but as a beacon. In the quiet that followed, one final thought lingered in the minds of all who had gathered: humanity, for all its contradictions, was a reminder that even the most chaotic forces could create harmony. And in that reminder lay the hope of a future brighter than any of them had ever dared to imagine.